You're casually scrolling the most popular recent movies on IMDb, as one normally does, and you see the number 6.6. Now you're in trouble. You wonder, what does that mean? Is this a good show? You start doing math. The average of a show is 1 plus 10 divided by 2 equals 5.5. So now you may think, this is a better than average show. Maybe it's even a good show. Wrong! Because that would imply this show is a good show, which is actually objectively garbage. What are these shows? What do these numbers even mean? I just want to watch a good movie. What is wrong with you? Help me! What do the numbers even mean? Numbers? Yeah. Who cares anyways? I know. Let's just read the reviews. All scores are off anyways, filled with noise and bias and... Okay, these people suck! So stupid! What are they even saying? Okay, well then, let's just analyze the numbers. There is more sanity in the most noisy score than in the most lucid comment ever could. Winston Churchill. Maybe. So what do these numbers even mean? First, we have to understand the mind of an average voter. Well, it's not bright. The best argument against judging movies based on scores is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. So let's analyze anyways. 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10 movies don't exist because there's no such thing as a perfect or worst movie, so you can never rate that score. Actually, there's a clear misunderstanding. What does it mean when you give a score? You're not a godlike entity that spouts out objective, measured, real, absolute scores. Even if you create a metric on how to measure the value of certain aspects of a moving picture, it will still always inevitably going to remain subjective. Or simply put, it's just another random opinion amongst the millions. The collection of scores, its average has a meaningful representation, but they in themselves as a singular vote bear no meaning beyond that of the voter. People don't even understand that 5 is supposed to be the average score. On IMDb, 6.5 is the equivalent of a 7.5 on my Minimalist. TV shows are also something like 7.5 on average. This may be a selection bias. So that begs the question, do people even use the full scale when they score? I bet most do not. Like, what does a 2 or 3 score movie even look like? What's the difference? No true reference point. A score is something inherently subjective. There is no absolute value to which you can compare it to. You can only define a movie a de facto standard reference point. This already sets us off so much, because everyone has a different reference point, different sets of movies they have watched, not even mentioning their own tastes and personal biases. So how to score properly? Measuring substance, artistic value, or just go vibes if you personally liked it? First, let's get a cup of tea, raise our little pinky, and let's say you clearly would want to define every score number precisely, at least have a rule of thumb. Let's go with the score 1, an absolute abomination, an insult to art itself, a cash grab, and the worst kind of it as well. The most common negative score that you would want to use to express actual hatred against the show, for whatever unknown reason. 2. Does anyone truly use this? 3. Again, like I have... What is 3? What does the 3 show look like? I never used it. 4. You dislike the show. 5. Lame and boring, but you can't really hate it. 6. An average okay movie that was watchable. 7. Now we actually had fun. A decent movie. 8. Okay, we are tapped into something rather special. We had real messaging, real meaning, and we were going somewhere. But kinda lacks delivery. 9. We deliver and it's amazing, but it may not be that thing that deeply resonates with your soul, but you still recognize its value. 10. Your personal favorites. Some shows will resonate with you on a deeper level, something that is personal to you. A show can be great, but if you cannot relate, it is not relevant, it does not resonate, it won't ever stick. You may recognize its artistic value, but it won't ever be more than that to you. So it needs to personally resonate with you. And some of those movies for you will end up in that 10 out of 10 list. Of course, this is all subjective. You can come up with your own definitions, but I just know most people are not autistic like me and they just go with vibes. You gotta rate movies for what they are and what they meant to be in the first place. If they meant it to be a sitcom, don't expect some artistic goldmine where the human condition is discussed and examined, the values collide in the webs of chaos we call stories. They're just gonna say bazinga or something. And I don't know if this is a spicy take or not, but Big Bang Theory was actually a great show. Yes, I said it. And some shows are strictly carved and fabricated to win Oscars. And some are, well, made for the intellectuals. So in my opinion, you gotta score them in their own category, in their own league. Otherwise, you will only meet disappointment, as most of them didn't mean to be more than just a gag, mere entertainment, or just for a certain type of audience. And you know what? That's fine. The problems with the singular score. A singular number can hardly represent anything, lacks nuance, doesn't measure spread or anything that would represent deviation from average, how polarizing the show is, or how much people agree with each other. The other thing is scoring on a timeline could reflect on some current drama that is going on. Or for example, when you look at the 4.8 out of 5 Android app in the App Store, and this is how the recent ratings look like. They rug pull you. They made a great app in the first place, but then they shitify it. But the score remains the same. Steam has a great solution for that, for this exact behavior, but I digress. Similar issues we see with TV shows that fall off hard after usually the third season, especially the episodic shows. They just run out of content, a meaningful message to say. Everything that they already meant to say, they already said it. So instead of looking at a number, we will look at the distribution of the numbers, and these distributions are usually available on every site. Analysis and biases. These vibes, I'm gonna call it the human nature, create a lot of noise that we can analyze. As much as scoring is subjective, the collection of these votes create patterns that represent something, carry meaning, and manifest in the shape of a normal distribution, or otherwise called bell curve, or something else like these, or whatever the hell this is. What happened here, I wonder? Okay, so this is how the different types of bell curves look with different movies. Normal, skewed, tail end. People are very emotional and not rational about the scoring. Just look at the Mr. Beast game show. Maybe the outlier numbers only represent cultural confusion and won't reveal anything about the true value of the show. I personally at least think the Mr. Beast show was surprisingly enjoyable to watch. Let's try to adjust the score by removing the outliers. And this is what we get. Sometimes people just don't know what to feel. Coppola, a famous guy, people love him. After all, he made The Godfather. It was a huge success. But that was like 50 years ago. Now Coppola is old and he doesn't seem to be on the top of his game anymore. I'm gonna claim I understand what he was going for. Too bad he just didn't really deliver. It's real sad he even sold a huge chunk of his real estate just to cover the cost of the movie because no one wanted to finance it. And the people just didn't know whether they should love it or not. They were confused, but let me help. It was a huge mess. Straight up a bad movie. But since people respect the director, they don't know how to feel about it. Do they even care about the movie? They don't score with sober mind. They aren't scoring the art itself. And the results say it very clearly. Confusion. The more score in general, the more certainty we have of its accuracy. The more widely the movie is known, the wider the range of people watch it, the more representative its scores become. Maybe in the ranges of 100,000 plus, maybe we can say it is representative. Some sites calculate their own weighted scores to try to exclude the malicious actors. This could be used as a tool for censorship, but I believe IMDb is doing okay. Have you noticed? Sequels have always higher scores? Don't fall for it. The show is not getting better. It is not what it seems. People simply stop watching movies they don't like. Be careful. There was this experiment about counting balls, once done by Vsauce. Great guy. The idea is that it doesn't matter what bias people have, and how small amount of people give stupid answers, the answer will be surprisingly accurate.
These jelly beans were part of a psychological experiment whose results have never seen the light of day, until now. It was based on a contest held in 1906 in Plymouth. Hundreds of people were asked to guess the weight of an ox. Now, no one made a guess that was particularly close, but the mathematician Francis Galton played around with the numbers and found something quite strange. The median of all the guesses, the number right in the middle of them, was spookily accurate. It was correct within less than 1%. Now, since then, that finding has been replicated and extensively studied, and it is now called the wisdom of the crowds. The basic idea is that when you have a group of people, and they're all sharing opinions, thoughts, and making guesses, a lot of them, most of them, will be wrong, but they'll be wrong in ways that offset each other. Some people will guess way too low, others will guess way too high, and the geometric mean, or the median of all their answers, can wind up being scarily correct.
What a great and beautiful argument for democracy. So Vsauce tried to replicate it, but something went wrong. Apparently people were allowed to talk to one another, he concluded, and they ended up influencing each other's answers. If people chose not to come up with their own answers and were influenced by each other's horrible opinions, it led to a catastrophe. The numbers were off.
To demonstrate the effect ourselves, we filled this jar with jelly beans. We asked participants who were registering to be a part of our brain made of humans to also guess how many jelly beans they thought were in the jar. Our results were not what we expected. One person got really close. Caleb Johnson guessed within 54 beans, but the average and the median of everyone's guesses were off by thousands. Our crowd was not wise. What had gone wrong? Well, it didn't take us very long to figure out the problem. We had not asked people to guess privately. Instead, the families and friends who showed up that day all talked with each other and they influenced each other. Things like, oh, I'm gonna guess 10,000. Oh, really? Well, I'm gonna guess 10,001. Ha, you just got prices righted, dork. By working together, the crowd lost its wisdom. That's in line with prior research that's found that when people work on certain problems together, they attempt to reach a consensus and frequently, in doing so, decrease their accuracy. I didn't talk about this experiment or our results in the episode, but I often wonder what the jelly beans were trying to tell us. Could it be that to get the right answer, we need to listen to everybody, but not each other?
What a great argument against democracy. Remember some of your childhood movies? When you watch Flubber as a child, you're gonna have a different experience, a different way you would score it. Even your memory will trick you. Remember Jar Jar Binks? I remember. I like the prequels. I was young. The standard of being impressed of the aging population increased a lot after they are 15 to 20 years old. Notice how old movies have a high score? You see, when you go to a theater and watch a children's movie, you won't necessarily like it. After all, it was not made for you. But now let's imagine we put a bunch of children in the theater and their joy, their laughter is contagious, and all of a sudden, you enjoy it more. Just simply people laughing around you makes you enjoy it more. You might have heard of this thing called the laughing track that they often added to sitcoms. The claim was it makes you feel like you are watching with a bunch of people, makes it more comforting, makes you enjoy the show more. To me it was always just a background noise that my brain just filtered out. But did it work? I don't think we have tangible evidence for that, but recently it completely died out anyways. Websites. There is Netflix. I never used it, but I heard They have really good recommendation system. Metacritics are just a bunch of snobs who think they know anything or anything more than the average person, and they are a paid industry plant, hated by everyone, and their opinion is worthless. You can safely ignore them, not even worth talking about them. Oh, there's this new site. I just found it. Cinema Score is the industry leader in measuring movie, blah blah blah. Apparently they know what's going on. Never heard of them. Okay, let's put it to the test. Fight Club B-. Okay. Whiplash, not even up. Okay, alright, okay. Now here comes the true test. Snow White is B+. Okay, that's it. It's an industry plant. Just do not ever use these sites. Now I know why I never heard of this site. Do not even bother. And I'm not even gonna mention Rotten Cancer. If you don't care about the majority's average, since everyone is interested in different types of movies, you would wanna hear the kind of people's opinions that you vibe with. So how would you fix that? Well, there's a solution. There's this site called Letterboxd. Upsides, you can look at your friends' scores and having an easier time to figure out if you feel like the movie or not. Downsides, you need friends. If you find people who like what you like, you can find more stuff that they could like. Technology! So anyways, I had an idea for a critical feature that would solve all of our problems. That is to find people who have similar interests or taste across all of your rated movies, and find people who come as close to your score as much as possible, and recommend based on that extra movies that other person liked. Then maybe one could discover new stuff, or even just plain recommend new movies based on that. You're welcome, Letterboxd. This one was for free. Now I like IMDb. That's what I've been using for my whole life, and it seems like it's not getting influenced by a malicious external actor. When it comes to sites, trust matters a lot. Some normal distributions, if read correctly, can give us a clue about the value of a show, but we can also read a bunch of other signals that signify other aspects of a show rather than just its pure value. There's a lot of bias. As far as vibes go, a lot of people will just go and watch their favorite slub genre, their chosen poison that they enjoy or socialize to watch. You know, something easily digestible. And we will keep vibe voting, no matter what. So a movie isn't a number. It's the film that got you through a hard time. The one you watched with your dad every Christmas. That silly, stupid comedy you saw on the first date. That silly, stupid comedy you saw on the first date, where the sound of you both laughing was more important than any joke on the screen. What score would you give that? How do you rate the feeling of a soundtrack transporting you back to a summer where you felt infinite? How do you quantify a line of a dialogue that hits you so hard it changes the way you see the world? You cannot. Those numbers on the screen, they're just data. They're a cold, black and white photograph of a vibrant living memory. They cannot capture the warmth, the color, the feeling of being there. They don't know what that film meant to you. That movie with the objectively garbage 6.6 score, maybe it was the first movie that ever made you feel seen, and that 9.4 masterpiece that everyone loves, maybe it just left you cold, and that's okay. So the verdict isn't a number, it cannot be. The real verdict is the echo a film leaves in your mind long after the credits have rolled. It's the story that becomes a part of your story. It's the art that helps you understand what it means to be a human. In the end, there is only one score that will ever truly matter. Not the one you click on a website to broadcast to the world, but the quiet, invisible one that the film earns inside of you. The one that's written on your soul. And that's the score no one can argue with. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Oh, the friends we made along the way. This AI thing is getting better every day, huh? When we are getting our AI movies again, some of them gonna be 10 out of 10 for sure.